Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Immergence Show. I'm so excited to have you here with us today because we're welcoming back a very special guest, Sam Huber. In our last conversation, we barely scratched the surface on how immersive technology is moving from hype to real, measurable business results. Today, we're diving deeper into one of the biggest questions in our industry: how can brands truly prove ROI in the immersive experiences, virtual commerce, and AI-driven media? Sam will share some examples, insights, and highlight what's actually working right now and how your brand can get ahead. You will want to listen closely and stick around until the end. And don't forget to invite your friends, colleagues, and tag them in the chat. Let's get everyone involved in this exciting conversation. Hi, Sam. Thank you for being with us again.
Thanks for having me again.
Awesome. We're very excited because there has been a lot of exciting stuff coming from the news. You guys acquired a company, the platform has been launched. So before we get into all of those exciting stuff, I would love you to give us an overview about your background for those who may not have watched the previous episode or haven't known you before.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Sam Huber. I'm now the global president of enterprise at Infinite Reality. I came to Infinite Reality in July following the acquisition of my company Landvault, which I had been building for 6 years. And Landvault was really at the forefront of originally tools for game developers to monetize their experiences. And then we've added additional products where we basically built a platform to help companies build, deploy, and monetize virtual experiences. And we really rode the wave of the metaverse in the 2021, 2022. A lot of the brand activations that you had seen at that time, we were a part of them. We helped build them on platforms like Sandbox or Decentraland. And then we, of course, also, as we were doing that, realized the limitation of those platforms, the fact that they were pretty bad at driving traffic and even worse at driving ROI. So we learned a lot from that, and we kind of took the best out of this. What's good about immersive, right? The engagement, the ability to get people really excited to build something that people remember, and then try to add additional tools on top of it to truly drive ROI through those experiences, to show that this is not just an experiment, but this could actually become the future of the internet. And that's really the vision that we had at Landvault, and the vision that we have at Infinite Reality now, is that the combination of immersive and AI are truly changing the way that we think about the internet. This is going to be the biggest shift that the internet has seen since it was created, because there hasn't really been a huge change. Of course, the internet has evolved, but not that drastically. We're going to have an internet that is personalized to every user, and that is truly an experience, not just content, but actually an experience that will ideally you'll remember and would make the brand stand out. So that's the technology that we're building, are all the tools and the infrastructure to power this shift. We're thinking about immersive as the future of media, and we're building the infrastructure for its creation, its distribution, its monetization. And so it's been a long journey already, and there's another long journey ahead of us. But I think we're at a very interesting tipping point now, where we start to see the first clients, the first big enterprises that are starting to think about immersive, not just as an experiment, something they want to do on the side as a campaign, but actually as a permanent activation to improve the current state of affairs. So that's very exciting, and it's the tipping point where that I think everyone working in the immersive space has been hoping for a while.
Totally. I appreciate this very comprehensive intro. And we have so much engagement and excitement already in the chat. Thanks to Alexander, Ian, Felipe, and everyone else who's tuning in. We're so grateful for you to be engaging with us. So just to also expand a little bit more about Infinite Reality, you all acquired several companies, including Obsess and now Napster. So I would love you to kind of tell us a little bit about those. And then also, you all are one of the highest valued companies in this space. If you want to touch on those, that would be great.
Yeah, so the strategy generally for M&A, and this was even before we got acquired. So I'm, I guess, speaking on behalf of what I understand of the previous strategy as well. But it was always to look at the best talent, the best technology that has a use case, that has an application in the marketplace when it comes to immersive. And if we can't build it, we just acquire it. And this enables us to go a lot faster than if we had to build all of these things. And the immersive space actually is very fragmented. There's a lot of really cool startups that are building exciting things, but they're also sometimes very niche. I'll give you an example. It's not targeted at any company in particular, but imagine you have a company that is building a tool to do virtual try-on for watches, which is great, right? But it's also very niche. It's one use case, one type of client. So as a standalone company, this is going to be difficult to thrive if you only do that. And it's also very different than doing virtual experiences on the web or that building your own game engine. So as a startup, you can't really do both. And it puts you in that position where you end up being very niche and actually more of a feature than a company. And so what we're doing at Infinite Reality is looking at what do the clients want? How can we actually build a platform, a holistic platform, one-stop shop that provide everything that every client would ever want so that they can prove ROI and actually deploy this solution at scale on their websites. And this is how we decide what we're going to acquire. Sometimes about technology, sometimes about sales and go to market. Sometimes it's about penetration in a specific market, a specific region, like it was the case with LandVault and the Middle East. And sometimes it's about a new vertical distribution, like Napster, the deal that was just announced, which is obviously a music platform. And the idea is to combine music and immersive experiences to create a new way for fans to experience music, right? It's not just the sound, it's the whole experience. So those are generally the ways that the company thinks about M&A and acquiring companies.
Wow, very exciting. Yeah, as Ian said, it's not Napster wasn't a company that we would think that it will come into the immersive experience. So that's going to be really exciting, and we can't wait to hear. But I know your focus is more on the enterprise side. So maybe you can tell us a little bit more on what that means for Infinite Reality, and especially in the MENA region. What have you observed that is different from the West?
Yeah, so if you think about the company Infinite Reality, there's really two main sides. One is the studio side, which is a self-serve platform which has launched on Friday. And this is really a platform for creators of all sizes, individual, small businesses, startups that want to create experiences themselves. And traditionally, building virtual experiences is difficult. You need to be a game developer. You need access to complex softwares. We really simplify this by giving you almost like a Squarespace type of interface where it's drag and drop, and you can create 3D spaces and publish them on the web. So it's a really big push forward when it comes to democratizing the creation of 3D spaces. That's one side. And then the side that I'm really overseeing is the enterprise side, which is the larger clients, Fortune 500, even governments. Those need more complex tools, and more importantly, they're not really looking to do it themselves. So they need a whole team that would think about what they need to build and actually implement it for them, and then work with their team to deploy it on their properties. So it's the B2B arm, if you think about it. And we really focus on 4 different verticals. So sports is a big one, music is another one, culture, tourism is another one, specifically for Middle East, and then we have e-commerce, luxury as well. So those are the 4 key verticals. We target also outside of that, but really trying to stay focused on that and build the first really big use cases with market leaders in each of these categories.
Love it. And I want to, before we get into these different use cases and talk about ROI, I actually got to meet the CTO of Infinite Reality when I was at GDC last week. I forgot his name. But,
Griffin.
Yes. And I always thought, for some reason, that you guys are building an Unreal Engine. I think because I saw some stuff from LandVault, but I don't know. But then he said, no, you guys have your own engine. So maybe
That's
you
right.
can tell us a little bit more about that, how this whole platform is different, better than, let's say, Spatial or Roblox or even Fortnite. And, like for those who are interested, like how can they get involved?
Yeah, so I would say there's really two things. The first thing we have to distinguish is that Infinite Reality is not a destination platform like Roblox, like Fortnite, where you have to go there to experience something. We're not trying to bring users to the experience. We're trying to bring the experience to users. What that means is, if you think about it in a business context, if you're a brand, you already have a website, maybe it's social media, you have a space already where you drive your users, where you ask them to pay for your services or products. You're already focusing all your efforts in driving marketing to that space for them to convert. And so the last thing you want to do is to say, oh, we're going to build something over there, what the core business is here, because you start competing with the core business if you have to send users somewhere else. And that's traditionally what platforms like Roblox, Fortnite have done, because they started as a game and they're not really meant to drive business results. Our approach is completely different. We think that immersive is not a destination, but it's more like the evolution of media. So if you think about media like images or videos that do not necessarily live on a separate platform, you can integrate them with your site to bring your site to life and storytell in better ways. We think immersive is just the evolution of that. So just like you have videos on your site that explain about your product and your company, you'll have immersive experiences centered around products, the history of your brand, maybe the CEO, whatever you want to do, whatever experience and story you want to tell, you'll be able to integrate components of immersive experiences on your site. That's what the platform enables you to do. So there's no destination like Infinite Reality portal where you have to go. We give you the tools to build experiences that you can then integrate, embed within your own website. So that's the main difference in terms of approach compared to the platform that you mentioned. And then when it comes to technology, the consequence of that is most of these websites, those companies, they drive traffic to their websites. And so if you think about the technology, right, we're talking about web-based technologies.
Right.
Unity, Unreal, great platforms to build games, but they're not built for the web. They're built for applications. You can make it work on the web, pixel streaming or WebGL, but it's heavy, it's not native. And so what we have done early on is we have built our own game engine, which is built on top of Three.js, basically. Something that is native to the web to create the best immersive experiences on the web, but in a way that is light. So it actually works on mobile, for example, which no other game engine really does. Mobile web, I'm talking about, which is how most people consume the internet nowadays.
Right.
So this was a very deliberate choice that we need to first basically be able to create experiences on the web, on mobile as well, if we really want to not just be like a shiny tool or a cool game, but actually be a tool that helps businesses deliver ROI. Because a lot of businesses, most of their audience are coming from mobile, are coming for the web. So we're adapting to that. We once again really trying to help businesses drive real business results. And so for that, we have to adapt to where is their audience already and making sure we build the right tools for it.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that and clarifying. And so how does this platform work? Is it freemium? Is it like similar to like Wix and Shopify? You can kind of get it started building on it?
Yeah, so we entered, I would say, the first official phase where the platform is open. It's still early. There will ultimately be different packages that will depend on the features that you want to access to, and also the hosting capabilities that you need. At the moment, we're basically welcoming the first users. We already have a ton of creators on there that are publishing new spaces every single day. And yeah, we're learning from that, and the next step would be to start adding more and more people and build cooler and cooler worlds. But I know the studio team has a full roadmap for the rest of the year. We're bringing new features, and eventually you'll be able to create literally whatever you want. There won't be any gap between what you think you can do and what you're able to do through the platform.
Amazing. And I would imagine there are some AI components in there.
Yeah, so we're integrating a couple of things. That's also part of the roadmap. A big product that will come in is basically an AI assistant that you'll be able to plug into your own website. And then, of course, AI is not just a feature, but it's a true part of all the technology that we have, right? From creation to distribution, it's integrated pretty much everywhere, and we're continuing to add more and more of that to accelerate the way that people can use the platform and publish experiences.
Amazing. Yeah, at GDC, I saw so many really cool stuff coming out, text to animation, text to asset. It's really become so easy and, just seamless to get started and build stuff. So I can't wait to see what you guys have ready for us. And I want to, again, thank our amazing community. They're very engaged. If there's any question you all have, please put it in the chat. We'll get to it. I actually think there is a question from Felipe. Is actual 3D engine compiled to WebAssembly and you have 3JS binders? I remember years ago 3JS being really inefficient. That might be a very technical question. If you feel comfortable,
it's more of a question for our CTO and our studio team. We basically built our own game engine logic on top of 3JS, and as you know, the browsers are also getting better, right? And almost now supporting full applications. So the trends are basically moving in the direction where the web is going to be able to support more and more richer and richer experiences, better and better experiences. And we think having an engine that is built for the web will be the way to eventually dominate this market and build something that is really tailored to the needs of the clients that we have.
Thank you so much. Yes, definitely we should tag the CTO to answer that question. But let's get into the ROI discussion. So what do you think is the biggest misconception when it comes to ROI in immersive tech? Why do you think some brands or businesses are hesitant to even activate in this space?
I think it comes down to the metaverse era back in 2021, 2022, where obviously we saw that peak where, as we call it in the adoption cycle, is the peak of inflated expectations, where everyone thought, I need to be there. This is going to transform my business, transform my company. And you had all these platforms that promised a lot, promised to bring millions of users, and then ended up bringing nothing. So those activations just sat there with no traffic. And that basically created that perception that this was already done. We've already tried it. We've tried immersive. It didn't work. But obviously, we know from what I explained earlier that the approach of immersive, of thinking about it not as a destination but the future of media, we know that 3D worlds, 3D experiences are very engaging. People spend billions of hours in games, right? For example. So we know that works, but we have to reframe the conversation around what immersive really is and what it should be, what it is good at. And this is why we're trying to do at Infinite Reality. This is why we're talking about immersive as the future of media, not as a destination, and building tools that actually have nothing to do with what you know about the metaverse. It's literally just tools to create better experiences on your website. Just happen to use the same terms around immersive, but it really has nothing to do with the previous vision of the metaverse. So we're definitely fighting that, right? Companies have tried it. They thought they tried it. It didn't work. So now they're not really willing to invest again. But actually, we're also seeing that the conversation is very much alive. And across the verticals that I mentioned, most brands are willing to give it a shot. But now they want to have proper ROI measurement. The era of hype around it is gone. So now it's the era of results. And those companies will only invest in the space if they can prove to their bosses and to themselves and to the company that this is not an experiment. This is something that can actually deliver results. And in terms of result, I'm talking about hardcore results, things that you would think of if you were running the company, like more sales or engaging a new type of audience, those type of hard business metrics that everyone is trying to improve. And I think we are getting there. We have that data, with Infinite Reality now across all the acquisition that we've done. We have over 500 clients. We've done over 500 immersive experiences with top clients, which is more than probably the rest of the industry put together. So we also have great knowledge. We understand what works, more importantly, what doesn't work. And we're really stripping it down to its core to try to build the right tools and the right interfaces for those clients to be able to drive real revenue. And AI is a key part of that, with this AI assistance throughout the process. So it's this really interesting moment where a lot of the industry actually rests on this being successful. Because think about any technology, any industry, if it doesn't have any kind of ROI, then it just remains an experiment. It has to benefit to someone. It has to have a positive ROI for it to be adopted fully, and not just an afterthought or a cool experiment. So it's a make or break moment for Immersive right now. Obviously, we're very confident that things will go in the right way, but it's very exciting because I've been working in that space for almost 10 years now, and I've seen so many examples, so many case studies, so many experiments, but no one has really had the resources, the talent, and the technology to prove that yes, there is an ROI. You can sell more product. You can engage in your audience. You can get better mind share by creating immersive experiences.
Love it. And we all want to see what that looks like. So we also had a question about KPIs, which I would love to get into. But you mentioned the 4 different sectors that you are targeting in enterprise: sports, music, culture, and e-com. So if we can kind of go through each of them and talk about what the KPIs looks like, and what type of examples of success stories, or something that, even if you don't want to mention any names, something that could be exciting coming up, that would be really great if we can start with sports.
Yeah, so sports basically are looking at engagement of fans. A lot of the fans live on social media, are hard to engage, hard to retarget, and basically those clubs or athletes are looking for better ways to monetize their audience. And creating an immersive experience can be a great way to change the way that fan engagement's done, sell more merch, sell more products. So those are interesting, case studies that are being built right now. So we've done a couple of experiences around that. We're building now for a lot of football clubs. Something that I can probably show is something that we've done for Speedway GP, which is a type of motor races, which is a case study that we did last year. So
you want to share your screen? Or
if I share a screen, you should be able to see that.
Very exciting.
And I'll just talk through this case study.
Awesome.
But yeah, basically we have an immersive experience of the whole arena where the race is happening. And then from there, you can essentially navigate within the experience, almost like a game. You can create your own character. You can see the live stream. If you want to use a VR headset, obviously you don't have to, but you can watch it in a much more immersive way. You can chat with other fans. So it's a way to also meet people that have the same passions. And then from there, you can also almost build your own experience, right? If you watch this on, first of all, this sport actually is not on mainstream TV, so it's hard to catch it. And so with this, you were able to select the feed that you want and exactly which driver you want to follow. We had cameras across all of the drivers. And the way that this is monetized by going through a shopping experience where you can buy the official jerseys. And again, you can also meet some drivers that are making appearances within the experience. You can buy some of the merch, and eventually also connect with other people from the industry. But the beauty of this is this can be replicated across pretty much any other sports. And so now we're starting to open up new verticals within the sport category with other sports that are also interested to drive experiences like this. So this is just a small experiment But you can see how this can be easily scalable across other types of sports as well.
Really cool example. And was this the engine that you guys have, or is it a previous engine that you use? What was this built in?
I believe we built because we wanted to integrate that with their app. There was a Unity application as well, but there was a web experience also built with our own engine. So
Really cool.
the engine basically was acquired last year, and so there was bits and pieces that were built on other engines before that. But the goal now is to always build on top of our engine using our own platform, so we're fully vertically integrated.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it was really great. And if you can share now, based on this example or in general, what type of KPIs you had for a project like this, or in sports in general, and kind of like how do you measure ROI?
Yeah, so this was a pretty, I would say, early experiments. The main thing that was like you could quantify was basically sales and also the time that people spend in the experience, because most of those type of sports were actually not seen on mainstream TV or anything like that. So they were trying to increase the ability for fans to be able to engage directly with the content. So this was one of the main things that we were trying to measure here.
So engagement, and I would imagine probably the merch sales, all of that will come handy depending on what the brand is looking for too, right?
Yeah, so the KPI and the ROI is never the same, right? It depends of the business, what they're trying to achieve. And what we're saying is like whatever your hardcore business KPIs are, you should be able to improve them through immersive experiences, through AI. And it's obvious, most people know this, but the how you do that and what it means for them, what is the use case for their verticals is generally what's missing. There's a big gap between everyone knows that AI is going to transform their business, but very few people are able to know exactly how and what to do today to solve that problem. So Infinite Reality aims to be that destination for all the brands and clients who know that the future is going to be different, that the internet is going to look different very soon, but they might not be quite sure exactly how to start. And we aim to be that trusted advisor, that utility layer, and we have all the tools and services for them to navigate this shift.
Awesome. And considering the self-service platform, I would imagine you have an enterprise tier where, similar to, again, Wix or others that can come to you and create custom platforms. Or will you have like a marketplace of developers where you can kind of connect the brands to? Which one is the path you're taking?
Well, it's both, because we do have enterprise right now, which is the department that I lead. And this is basically, we're still using our technology, our game engine, our tools, but we also build a custom layer on top of it, because if we talk to a luxury brand or a tourism board, they obviously want slightly different creative and execution. So we have the ability to customize things for client, but it always stems on top of the technology that we have. We do eventually want to build a marketplace, marketplace of assets, marketplace of even scripts. So other developers can basically contribute and also sell what they have created back to the community. So that's something that we're also working on.
Exciting. Thank you. And let's get into music. I know with Napster, a lot of folks, especially Ian, is very excited to know more about what you have done or you're planning to do in the music scene. Can you share a little bit more and how that type of KPIs and ROIs might be different?
So actually, music is fairly similar to sports in an interesting way. It's also about fan engagement. A lot of the artists and musicians and the labels and the bands, they also have a lot of fans, and they're always trying to figure out how can we engage them better, give them what they want, and ultimately monetize them. And in the same way, a lot of those fans live on social media, and it's very difficult, as we know, to monetize a huge audience at scale on social media, because most of the proceeds are going to the social media company, not to the artist. So again, similar to sports, we are creating spaces for them to engage, for fans to meet other fans, to buy additional merchandise, to consume behind the scene, to watch more of the content, to discover more about their favorite artists. And ultimately it's about really redefining the experience. And I think the Napster deal is interesting this way, because we're going to merge music with technology, with immersive experiences, with AI. I think we can really redefine the way that music is being streamed, because music is not just about the sound, right? It's about the experience. If I ask you what is your best memory around music, you're probably going to talk about a concert that you went to, or a festival, something that is more than just listening. And I think it's been very difficult to do that online so far. And we have a chance now with this technology to create a better experience around music as a whole.
I appreciate that. Yes, so true. And I'm curious, for music and platform like this, is it more to kind of complement a physical experience, like replicating an environment that maybe not everyone from all over the world can be present? Or is it more like creating something more imaginary and different than the real life?
It can be both, but I think, if we're just trying to replicate something that exists in the real world, it's better to go to the real world, right? Like, we're not at the point right now where immersive experiences can be mistaken for the real world yet. And so if you have to decide between going to a real concert or going to a virtual version, of course, if you have the choice, the first choice is to go to the real one. We're not saying that immersive is going to replace the real world, but what we're saying is it can upgrade the digital world. Right now, if you can't go, the best thing that you can do is just to watch a video or a stream on YouTube, and we're creating a better alternative for that. But in the virtual world, you're not limited to, there's no gravity, for example. So it already enables you to do pretty crazy designs and things that you wouldn't be able to do. Maybe you can be floating in the air and, see the experience as you float around, which is something that you wouldn't be able to do in the real world. So I think I always advise the design teams and anyone building in the immersive world to create something that is really unique, because if you can do the same thing in a different way, you're probably going to default to the going to do it in person. But if you are creating an experience that is immersive, that only immersive can get you to that experience, then it becomes really interesting and actually a hook for people to go and try it.
Such a good point. And I would imagine, as you mentioned, with experience being the core of music, the community and the social aspect is huge. What do you guys have planned in terms of the social and the kind of the community side of it? Are you creating a different platform, kind of like Discord, or is it like collaborating with other platforms?
Yeah, we'll have, there's integrations with all the existing platforms, so you can just port your audience into the virtual world. We're not trying to necessarily compete or replace, obviously, social media, but we're more trying to complement. And, social media is great at reach. You can reach millions and millions of people, which is great. But we know that monetization, extracting value from that audience is difficult. And so the goal here is not to compete on reach, but more giving a space, almost like something closer to like your own shop, where you can drive, maybe not everyone, but let's say the super fans, right? The fans who really want to buy more, to want to engage more with you. You can drive them to that additional space where they can get more information, they can get behind the scene, they can consume more content. And when they buy something, you get 95%, not just the 5%. So that's the real difference. And we really want to create an additional space, which we believe is missing for the fans, for the community. And of course, everything that we do is, they are the very center of that shift. If you look at the Napster announcement, it's really all about empowering the fans, right? Our CEO, John, talks about how important it is to him that the artists get a fair share of what they've created, and that the fans can truly interact and build direct relationship with their favorite artists. So everything that we do here is really about fans, their engagement, and creating a better experience for them.
Awesome. And I saw at GDC again that Discord is launching their social SDK. So now a lot of different platforms kind of bring in different features of favorite platforms. So really cool stuff and I like the perspective of not competing and collaborating. Cool. We do have a question from Ryan. How are you going to ensure that artists and labels do not consider your space a game and demand a sync license?
Well, that's part of something that we've announced today with the Napster acquisition, but also the broader strategy, which is trying to create this general space. We don't want to take sides when it comes to artists or labels. We're trying to create a more holistic space around music. So this is all part of the strategy and something that probably will be announced in the next couple of months or so.
Awesome. Thank you for the question, Ryan. And so you touched on e-commerce here and there. If you can share a screen on one of the use cases, I know you guys acquired Obsess, which has been one of the trailblazers and really proving ROI in the retail space from early on. And I think Landwalt had its own experiments with this space. So if you can share a little bit more about what that looks like, as a lot of brands end up having that e-commerce component in the immersive experiences.
Yeah, e-commerce, the needs are a little bit different. It's obviously about driving sales, and so it's what we're trying to do here is building interfaces and ways for people to discover products in more natural ways, and also to be able to ask questions. Something that we found, especially with the luxury product, is that if you there's a big drop off of customers who are interested in the brand and the product, but do not know exactly what they need, and so it's sometimes hard to compare the difference between products. And if the amount of money is substantial, people, if they don't have an exact answer, they would just leave. So AI obviously can solve that. You can have AI assistants that make your website conversational. So instead of just browsing information, you can literally talk to someone, which is not a real person, it's AI, so it makes it scalable for the business. So for e-commerce, it's really at the use case is really at the crossover of the personalization that is offered by the AI assistant, which creates a one-to-one relationship between the shop and the customer, right? Whatever you need, we can cater to you exactly, almost like in a real shop where you can actually talk to a person and they obviously adapt what they say to you and what you need. So it's at the crossover of that and the experience, right? For high value products, and we've seen that in luxury marketing for a while, it's how do you get mind share? How do you stand out from the crowd? How do you portray that you are luxury? And a lot of that is through the experience and being able to not just be transactional, not just sell a product at a time, but actually show what you stand for and also showcase the value of the product and really give people something that they are likely to remember. So we think that to create an experience online, immersive is the best way to do it. Currently, the best way to create an experience online is through a video. That's the ultimate media format. But as we discussed before, we think that immersive is the next format of media after video, because it's not just a passive rectangle that you have to watch. You can literally step in the experience. You can move things around. You can be an active participant, and you're more likely to remember something if you've taken an active part in it. So again, we just think that for anything luxury, it doesn't have to be like crazy luxury. I'm talking about, really any products that are sold online. Immersive experiences it's going to revolution how things are sold online. Just like pictures have basically enabled e-commerce in the first place, and then videos and product reviews have taken it to the next level. Immersive is just the natural evolution of that. When you're actually able to get behind a product, move it around, see how it looks, you can take it with scanning a QR code, and now I'm taking that product in my living room, I place it there. This is where it becomes a really interesting ability to create a better relationship and a one-to-one relationship between the shop and the actual customer.
I appreciate you sharing that. I think what you mean by the luxury is more about like brands or products that are more focused on the experience than the transaction. And so from the user perspective or the shopper perspective, those are the type of purchases that you make based on wanting something rather than needing something. If you need something, you go to Amazon or Temu. If you want something, then you go to more destination websites of a specific brand to have that experience, or go in person in their physical stores. And brands have been, especially the luxury brands, have been so selective about the type of experiences they create that they prefer to even not have a website for so long. A lot of them. And so like this is giving them an opportunity to maybe replicate the physical experience or go above and beyond, like you said, now that we have no limitations. Such a good point.
Yeah, that's true. I would also argue that most companies selling online that are trying to compete to grab mind share, the online ecosystem is terribly busy. It's very, very hard to stand out, to be different. And so what are the solutions? You can buy more ads on social media, but we know, again, that's very transactional. A lot of the D2C, direct to consumer brands, they do well, then they stop spending, and basically they don't have any customers, because on social media, it's very transactional, it's very transient, right? You see an ad that might be exactly what you need at this time, you go and buy something, but you don't even remember what the brand was. So you're not really building long-term affinity to the brand. You're not building long-term brand love. We've evolved from the Mad Men back in the day, which was all about that because there was no direct response on TV, to now the exact opposite, where it's just about the algorithm knowing what you want, but actually it almost doesn't matter who you buy from. So if you're a brand right now, you're trying to stand out, you have to do both. You have to play that game, of course, but it's also very valuable if the second time you don't have to spend to reach that customer. He just remembers that he needs that service again, and he goes to you because you like the experience. So how do you stand out? Well, we know that experience is the great way to stand out, and we know that experiential marketing has always worked. I always take the example of in Dubai, next to where I live, there is this cafe that was just built, and it's actually a Mercedes cafe, which is unheard of, unusual, right? And you would think, why is Mercedes trying to make more money from selling coffee? Of course not. But what they've done is they created a space that is an experience. They know that normally people think about cars more in a transactional way. You maybe go to the dealership when you need the car, but you're not going to go and visit it. So normally you go there every couple of years, and now it's something you can go every day. And of course, you're not going to buy a car every time, but you're surrounded by Mercedes products. There's a G-Wagon at the back. You can talk to people if you have questions. And certainly when you're there and you buy the merch and you look at things, you're not thinking about other competitors of theirs. So it's a great way to win mindshare, one coffee at a time, I would say. But again, this is a physical space. So how many people go there? Maybe a couple hundred every single day. It's hard to scale. Only very large brands like Mercedes can do this. Online, it has been impossible to do something like this because of the interface, right? We're just watching it on a small screen. How can you create a memorable experience here? Well, especially in 2D with just images and videos. Well, we think that immersive is going to take that to the next level. It's going to be a way to scale experiential marketing online. And I think this is going to change the way that that business is being done, no less than that. So that's why, immersive has value. It's not valuable in itself, like immersion in itself. It's not something valuable, but it is valuable because it creates an experience. And we know that experiences are the best way for people to remember a brand, remember something that they have been a part of, and that will drive business results. So it's all about the quality of the experience that you can create.
And I think the root cause of all of this is because our brains are just operated more in 3D, and we're engaging more senses with immersive experiences. We're making things more natural to the brain. So I love that you also mentioned on the mind share and affinity. A lot of times we have to maintain the engagement with the brand. So that was a really good example. Thank you for sharing. You also touched on, having AR experiences. So I'm curious, how much are you guys focused on mixed reality or augmented reality? Or are you just focused mostly on this kind of immersive, fully immersive virtual experiences?
Yeah, that is, again, more like a feature than a core piece of technology. And the main reason is because we're really looking to, again, drive ROI for our clients. And it's really difficult to drive ROI if you can only target a couple million people that happen to have the right piece of hardware to consume your experience, right? So those things are cool, they're amazing. You do something with the Apple Vision Pro, it's probably the best experience that you can have. But then it's like doing something physical almost. It just doesn't scale yet because the distribution of the hardware is just not there. So the core focus for us is to distribute those experiences through the web. For 99.9% of our experiences, you do not need a headset. You can just go on your browser, you open a website, and this happens to be a 3D experience, obviously projected on a 2D screen, like most video games, but it's still, you still have that feeling of immersion. Of course, there will be moments where we will all have headsets, at least in certain cases, so that would take the experience to the next level. But we do not want to wait for this to basically start having a scalable business, because it's just a risk to wait for a third party consumption of headsets. So the message internally is very clear. We are building experiences for the web, and we are device agnostic. It works on mobile, it works on desktop, it also works on most VR headsets that where you can actually access the web through the interface, but we're not building directly for that. There are use cases in e-commerce, virtual try-on, for example, using AR. That's a really interesting use case. But again, we see it more as a feature at the moment than a core part of the platform.
Got it. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, it starts with that fully immersive, and then you can have components of it. So let's get into the last use case, which was the culture and tourism, especially because I think that has been more focused in the Middle East region. If you can tell us a little bit more how that looks like, or if you want to share any examples.
Yeah, so cultural tourism, travel, it's a big kind of category that we use for anything that want to promote a location, drive global awareness to a part of the world, or something that is being built, infrastructure that is being built, and trying to create an emotional impact with that. So the reason why we started targeting this vertical is mainly because a lot of the use cases in the Middle East are centered around that, right? The Middle East wants to diversify their economy. They are building a lot of amazing infrastructure. They want the world to know about it, to drive more people to their region. So it's all about portraying the right culture, and ultimately going from digital tourism to physical tourism. So again, what is the best way to showcase an exciting new hotel being built, where you could shoot a nice video? Okay, everyone kind of does that. Or you could give me the ability to actually fly through it and literally visualize what the different rooms are like. The difference between the room that is 100 square meter or the suite that is 150. What is the real difference? Well, if you can stand in it, you can actually see that. What does that mean to have sea view? Well, you can actually look by the window and see what it is. So it really brings spaces to life. And this is proven to increase the conversion rate, because once people have, all their doubts have been answered and they really feel like they're almost there, it actually pushes them to actually buy tickets and go to the place. So we've done a lot of interesting use cases across the Middle East. We've worked with a public investment fund in Saudi, building a digital event platform. We've worked with New Orleans in the United States, basically building a digital twin of New Orleans, starting with a couple streets. Wow. And then they're involving businesses, and it's about showcasing Mardi Gras and a lot of their, the culture of the city to drive more people to come to it. So that's a really cool use case. And then we're starting a lot of projects across India as well. India has an incredibly rich heritage, but at the moment it's not yet thought of as an international tourism destination, and they want to change that. So again, the power of immersive to showcase, to shine a light on areas of the world that are currently not known, I think is going to be really disruptive for all these government entities to eventually drive more traffic to their regions.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm curious, do you put real estate in the same category or not?
Real estate, yeah. I mean, yeah, the categories are quite broad. We do have real estate is part of this category, yes. when it comes to like creating visualization of of plan properties that are not built yet. How do you bring them to life? You can create an immersive experience. So yeah, that's also part of that.
Awesome. Yeah, because I've seen, like, for example, in Florida, a lot of times they're building a big tower, but it's not built and they're pre-selling it. So they want to show like what that looks like beforehand. And this is a really cool way to engage your audience. Really cool. And what has the reception been from the end users? Is there too much of education and promotion when it comes to, okay, we built the experience, now we need to inform and educate the audience? What do you guys do to support that?
Well, the main thing we do is that we give them the tools to place the experience where the customers already are. So instead of building something somewhere and then having to have a whole marketing plan around that, again, we're more like upgrading the experience that the customers already have on their website. So technically, you don't need to drive them anywhere else. You drive them to the same place, but now instead of seeing images and videos, they can take part in immersive experiences. So that's strategically, this is the main thing that we're doing to make sure, again, that we're not having to drive people to the experience, but we drive the experience to the people. So that's the first step. Then we have obviously tools, analytics, reporting. In those immersive spaces, we believe that we can capture on average about 5 times more data on the customer than you would on a traditional website, because they interact deeper. They talk to the AI assistants. They make decisions in that world, things that are obviously anonymous, but you can track signs that further your understanding of the customer and ultimately will help you even adjust the experience so that it is customized based on the profiles. So you can basically learn faster, right? You capture more data, you can learn faster, and you can provide a better experience to your customers.
Yeah, I love that brought up the data, because this is just another opportunity for brands. And if we can touch on Web3, that would be great as well. I know when you guys started, Web3 was very hot, and now it's kind of coming back. Are you incorporating any Web3 components to anything you do, or not anymore?
At the moment, not really. Blockchain hasn't really been a big need, I would say, for our clients. Obviously, Napster, had Web3 investors. The idea eventually was to have a more decentralized platform. So something we're paying attention to. Again, we really focus on ROI, tangible value for clients. And so when those actually start to request a blockchain and it makes sense to build something on blockchain for them, then we'll use the technology, right? We are not, married to any type of technology. We want to be technology agnostic, but we want to use technology that actually helps driving results for those businesses. So that's why, at this point, it hasn't been part of our core stack.
Got it. Thank you so much. Is there any other predictions or topics that we haven't covered that you would like to talk about?
I think the main thing is, the importance of AI. Obviously, everyone knows this, but how quickly it has accelerated not just our business, but also the ability for this vision to come to life. The main limiting factor for immersive for a very long time was how quickly you can create experiences. Because building a website in 2D is pretty easy now. It was complicated before, but now you can just drag things along. You can publish it probably pretty much for free. And until now, building an immersive world literally took an army of developers, and you needed them to have 5 years of experience to build something cool. Now you have tools like IR Studio that enable really anyone to bring their worlds to life in 3D without any kind of technical knowledge, and further accelerated by AI, where you either be able to talk about what you want, adjust things, build assets using AI, and in the future, auto-generate experiences based on what your customers actually want or need. This is going to completely change the way that immersive is even thought about, and I think that's what's creating this surge, in excitement for what we do, in valuation. It's really about the AI component and how quickly this can actually accelerate the rest of the business.
Yeah, definitely. The right time, right place, and right technology is all working together. And you guys are the right talents. So um, I think we have a question. What is the actual performance? No, that was just a comment. Um, Thank you so much, Sam. Is there anything you want to tease us or any way people can support your efforts or implement reality in general?
I think the best way is to make sure you follow us. We're announcing a lot of exciting things, new companies we acquire, new tools we're releasing, new clients that we're supporting, and we're still very new in the market. I've been here for six months now, and now is really the time. This is the year of ROI. This is how I've branded it internally, and we're going to start releasing case studies. We're going to start talking about actual use cases. Like I've teased a few on this call, but more actual real case studies with real market leaders are going to be published. We're going to talk a lot about that, and for anyone that is interested in the immersive space, I think seeing that we're moving from that hype/experiment era to something more permanent, where immersive experiences are not just going to be a campaign, but they're going to be the front of the website. This is how we are going to shop, and most people do not see that, but some of you that have spent time in the space have been working towards that. And I think this is the year where we have this inflection point where we're going to start to see a few of those examples. So just keep paying attention to that, and be very happy to have you around in the ride. We've all been building for a long time, and now it's coming to fruition. So it's very exciting.
Amazing. Congratulations on all the success. And we can't wait to hear more about what's coming up. Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you to our amazing community, Ian, Felipe, Chris, Havo, Ryan, and everyone else who tuned in. We're so grateful for you to be here. We'll be back next Tuesday again with another great episode. Make sure to follow Sam and be with us every Tuesday. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sam. Have a lovely day. Take care.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Nico. Take care, guys.